The morning began like any other day. The sky was clear, the streets were alive, and people were busy with their ordinary lives. No one knew that in just a few hours, the world would change forever. It started as a faint red glow over the clouds. At first, people thought it was a sunset, but the sun was still high. The glow grew brighter, spreading across the horizon. Then the news came. Something massive had entered Earth's orbit. Satellites stopped working. TV screens turned black. Airplanes lost contact. Within minutes, every government in the world went silent. Panic spread faster than fire, and then they appeared. Hundreds of huge ships filled the sky, dark, metallic, and alive with strange blue light. Each one was bigger than a city. They moved with perfect silence, blocking the sun. For the first time in history, the world stood still. People ran to rooftops, to windows, to open fields, staring up. Children cried. Some prayed. Some simply watched, frozen by fear. Then a voice came. Not through speakers, not through radios, but directly inside every human mind. We are the Zeltor Dominion. You have been chosen. Do not resist. You will be brought into peace. The voice was calm, cold, and emotionless. World leaders tried to respond, but the aliens didn't wait. From the largest ship, a beam of white light shot down, hitting the ocean with a thunderous roar. A wall of steam rose miles into the sky. The message was clear. They had power beyond imagination. In the command center of NORAD, General Reed stared at the radar screens, his jaw tight. "Is this an invasion?" he asked. The technician beside him whispered, "Sir, I think it's already begun." Fighter jets launched across the world. Missiles locked on targets. Humanity was preparing for war. A war no one believed they could win. But then something strange happened. The aliens expected humans to surrender, to kneel in fear. Instead, every nation stood together. Rival countries shared intel. Soldiers fought side by side. Humanity had been divided for centuries, but now for the first time they were one. Above the city of London, the first battle began. Alien drones swarmed through the clouds, firing energy blasts that melted concrete and steel. Streets turned to fire. But from the smoke, human tanks rolled out, anti-air guns thundered, and fighter jets screamed past the alien ships. The aliens' beams tore through buildings, but humans didn't stop. They fought back with everything: bullets, rockets, even improvised weapons. Civilians joined soldiers, forming defense lines in every street. In one destroyed building, a young woman named Maya held a rifle she didn't know how to use. She wasn't a soldier, just a student. But when the drones came, she fired anyway. And when one fell burning from the sky, she shouted through the smoke, "We don't kneel." That moment repeated across the planet, in every city, every village. Humanity refused to die quietly. Commander Vaughn of the Zeltor watched from his ship, confused. On the holographic display, red lights, human attacks covered the planet. "How?" he muttered. "They should be broken by now." His second officer replied, "Their resistance is emotional, irrational." Vaughn frowned. "No, it's something else. They fight like they have nothing left to lose." Hours passed. The battle spread everywhere, land, sea, and sky. The aliens destroyed much of Earth's military power, but every time they crushed one army, another rose from the ashes. In the ruins of Tokyo, human engineers hacked into a fallen alien drone. Within minutes, they found a way to control it. Soon, alien machines were turning against their own. In New York, soldiers used skyscrapers as shields, firing rockets from the shadows. In the deserts of Africa, tribes joined modern armies, guiding them through terrain the aliens couldn't understand. Everywhere, the same message echoed on radios and phones: humanity does not surrender. Commander Vaughn felt something new, a pressure in his chest, something he had never felt before: fear. He turned to his officer and whispered, "Send word to the Dominion fleet. Earth is not what we expected." From orbit, Earth looked like a ball of fire. Cities burning, oceans boiling, storms of smoke circling the planet. But among the destruction, signals of resistance kept appearing. Humanity was bleeding but alive. In a small bunker under Washington, D.C., General Reed listened to static on the radio, then spoke quietly. "They think they know war. They have no idea who we are." Outside, the red sky burned brighter as alien ships repositioned. The next wave was coming, then bigger, stronger. Humanity had survived the first strike, but everyone knew what was coming next. Still, No one was ready to give up. On a cracked wall somewhere in London, someone wrote with black paint, "We will not go quietly." The message spread, and on walls, on screens, on the internet. A call to every human heart. And as the night fell and the alien fleet prepared its second attack, something inside every human began to change. Fear turned into fire. The world that once fought itself was now united, not to win but to endure. To make the enemy remember what it means to face humanity. The sky burned red above the cities of Earth, and for the first time in their long history, the Zeltor Dominion began to understand what true war really was. The second day of the invasion began with silence. Cities were half destroyed. The air was full of smoke and the sky still burned red. People hid in shelters, basements and tunnels, waiting, hoping the nightmare would end. But deep down, everyone knew it was only the beginning. Above the planet, the Zeltor fleet prepared their first full assault. Commander Vaughn stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Holographic screens floated before him, showing thousands of alien ships waiting for orders. "Initiate Phase 2, he commanded. The sky lit up again. From orbit, waves of plasma fire rained down like a storm. Whole city blocks vanished in seconds. Oceans boiled. Mountains cracked. The Zeltor had used only a fraction of their power the first day. Now they wanted to finish the job, but Earth didn't fall. It fought back. In the ruins of New York, American jets launched from underground hangars, their engines roaring through the dust. Pilots didn't wait for commands. They attacked on instinct, flying straight into the fire. Captain Ryan Hale, call sign Falcon 3, shouted over his radio, "Lock on target. Don't let them get close to the ground." His squadron fired everything, missiles, cannons, even experimental EMP bombs. Alien ships fell burning from the sky. For every human plane destroyed, 2 aliens went down with it. Commander Vaughn watched the chaos, his eyes narrowing. "These humans, they are reckless." His officer replied, "They are suicidal, Commander." Vaughn's voice was cold. "No, they are dangerous." Across the ocean, Europe was a battlefield. In London, civilians carried weapons left by fallen soldiers. They formed defense lines in the streets, hiding behind buses and cars. A teenage boy named Leo aimed a rocket launcher at the sky. His hands trembled, but his eyes were steady. "For my family," he whispered and fired. The rocket hit a drone, sending it crashing into a nearby building. The crowd cheered just for a moment. Then another explosion shook the street. Still, they kept fighting. Meanwhile, in the forests of Russia, a secret group of scientists worked on something that could change everything, a captured alien weapon. The machine pulsed with blue light as they studied it. Dr. Yelena, the lead scientist, said quietly, "If we can turn this against them, we have a chance." Back in orbit, alien commanders were growing frustrated. Their weapons were strong, but human defenses were unpredictable. Earth's armies fought differently. No single pattern, no single command. It was chaos, but chaos that worked. In Africa, soldiers used old tanks and modern drones together. In South America, guerrilla fighters ambushed alien patrols in the jungles. Even small villages refused to surrender. The Zeltor had crushed dozens of civilizations before, but none like this. Most species begged for mercy after the first battle. Humanity, instead, grew more dangerous with every attack. Commander Vaughn looked at a screen showing human broadcasts. Chaos, destruction, smoke, and defiance. People waving torn flags, shouting through cameras, saying one word again and again, "Fight!" Vaughn turned away. "This is not war," he said quietly. "This is something else." That night, a global message went out from an underground base in Alaska. A human voice, calm but strong, echoed across the planet. "This is General Reed. We do not fight to win. We fight so the universe remembers who we are." Those words became the heartbeat of the resistance. In Tokyo, engineers turned alien drones into traps. In India, hackers broke into the Zeltor communication grid, spreading false orders. In France, civilians painted messages on the ruins, "Earth stands." Commander Vaughn watched his fleet's casualty reports rise higher and higher. He slammed his fist on the console. How can a primitive race cause so much damage? His officer hesitated before replying, "Maybe, Commander, because they are not fighting to live. They are fighting to matter." On the ground, Maya, the young woman from London, moved through smoke-filled streets with a small group of survivors. They carried food, weapons, and a radio. Every few minutes they'd stop to help someone trapped under rubble. Maya looked at the sky where alien ships still glowed like stars and whispered, "You think we're weak? You'll learn soon." Her group disappeared into the dark streets, ready to strike again. High above, the Zeltor prepared their next move, orbital bombardment. Their goal, erase all major cities in one final attack. But humanity had learned fast. Underground bunkers and secret launch bases were ready. The Resistance now had alien weapons and codes. As the alien fleet charged their cannons, a single human missile launched from Antarctica. It cut through the sky, glowing red and blue, a hybrid of human and alien tech. It hit one of the largest Zeltor carriers and tore it apart in a blinding explosion. From space, the blast was so bright it looked like another sun. Commander Vaughn stared in disbelief as pieces of his ship drifted past the window. "Impossible," he whispered. For the first time, the Zeltor Dominion suffered real fear. The humans had drawn first blood in the stars, and as the flames spread across the alien fleet, a human broadcast broke through their channels, distorted, angry and proud. "You came to teach us fear, but now it's your turn." The transmission cut out. Silence followed. Commander Vaughn looked down at Earth, burning and defiant. He finally understood. This war would not be won in days or weeks. This was a war for survival. And humanity had just begun to fight. The war had entered its third week. The skies above Earth were filled with black smoke and drifting metal. Cities burned day and night, but somehow humanity was still standing. The Zeltor Dominion could not understand it. Their fleet had destroyed hundreds of worlds before, but never like this, never with such resistance. Commander Vaughn stood at the center of his command ship, staring at the endless battlefield below. "Every day we destroy their armies," he said quietly. "And every night they rise again." His second officer, Tavar, nodded nervously. "Reports say their cities are empty. No signs of life. Yet our patrols vanish whenever they enter those areas." Vaughn's eyes narrowed. "Vanishing?" "Yes, Commander. Entire units are gone. No signals, no wreckage, just silence." Down on the surface, the humans had become shadows. The great cities, London, New York, Moscow, were no longer battlefields. They were traps. Streets were empty, but eyes watched from the dark. Every alley hid motion sensors. Every ruin hid soldiers. The aliens thought they had broken humanity's back. In truth, they had only made it invisible. From the ashes of military command, a secret group had formed, codenamed Project Ghost. Scientists, soldiers, and engineers worked underground to create something new, a way to fight an army that ruled the skies. They used stolen alien tech mixed with human creativity. Cloaking fields, jammers, silent drones, machines that could bend light and hide entire units. By the fourth week, strange things began to happen. Alien patrols disappeared. Supply ships stopped returning. And rumors spread across the alien fleet. Whispers of invisible soldiers, moving unseen through the night. At first, Commander Vaughn didn't believe it. But then the reports came. One after another. Unit 47 lost contact near Sector Delta. Command Ship 12 destroyed from inside. Sensors detect nothing. No explosions. No warning. Just death. In a ruined part of Chicago, a group of human soldiers waited in silence. Their armor shimmered faintly, almost invisible in the moonlight. Captain Maya, the same young woman who once fought with a broken rifle, now led a full ghost squad. Her voice came softly through the comms. "Remember, they see everything, except what they don't understand." They moved like shadows, silent and precise. A group of alien soldiers walked below them, scanning the streets. The humans dropped from the rooftops like ghosts, blades flashing. Within seconds, the aliens were gone. No sound. No trace. One soldier whispered, "They'll call us demons after tonight," Maya replied. "Good, let them." In orbit, the Zeltor were no longer confident. Fear was spreading through the ranks. One alien commander shouted in the war room, "This is impossible. No species can vanish like this." Another whispered, "Maybe they have spirits, beings we cannot detect." Commander Vaughn silenced them. "Enough, there are no spirits, only war, and they are using tactics beyond their level." But even he could not ignore the strange messages intercepted from Earth, distorted human broadcasts full of static and whispers. "You came to bring peace. We bring silence. Every shadow hides a soldier. We are the Ghost Army. Vaughn clenched his fists. So they mock us now. His officer, Tivar, replied quietly, Commander, it may not be mockery. It may be a warning. By the next sunrise, alien morale was broken. Their scanners failed to track anything on the ground. Every night they sent drones, and every morning the drones did not return. One alien transmission recorded the last words of a dying soldier. I can hear them, but I can't see them. They are everywhere. And then, static. Meanwhile, deep below the Rocky Mountains, General Reed watched satellite feeds of alien ships falling from the sky. Ghost teams are in position, he said. Time to move to Phase 2. Engineers activated massive generators. A pulse of electromagnetic energy spread through the atmosphere. Alien communications went dark. Radar screens turned blank. For the first time, humanity had full control of the battlefield. Commander Vaughn's ship shook violently as his systems went offline. Report! He shouted. Unknown interference, Commander. We've lost targeting, shields, everything. Vaughn slammed his hands on the console. Find the source. But before anyone could answer, a human voice echoed through the ship's speakers, clear and calm. You came to teach us fear. Now it's your turn. The voice faded, replaced by silence. Then explosions tore through the ship's lower decks. Human commandos had boarded from stealth craft, unseen, unheard. Through the smoke and fire, Vaughn finally saw them. Soldiers in black armor, their bodies shimmering like shadows, their faces hidden behind glowing visors. They moved like ghosts. Vaughn raised his weapon. But before he could fire, they vanished again. The next moment, a massive blast shook the ship. Tivar screamed, Commander, they're inside the control room. Hours later, the alien fleet's flagship drifted in orbit, dark and lifeless. Across the galaxy, Zeltor broadcasts fell silent. Commanders refused to send more troops to the surface. They didn't want to face the humans, not the soldiers they could see, and not the ones they couldn't. For the first time in their history, the Zeltor Dominion knew fear. Down on Earth, Maya stood on the roof of a ruined skyscraper. Watching the glowing wreck of an alien ship fall through the clouds, she smiled beneath her helmet. They thought we'd hide, she whispered. We did. But not from them, for them. The Ghost Army had risen, and the war had just changed forever. The sky was no longer red and it was black. Alien wreckage floated in orbit like broken stars. For the first time since the invasion began, Earth was quiet. But it was not peace. It was the silence before something greater. Commander Vaughn stood on the bridge of a damaged ship, staring down at the planet below. Smoke still rose from the cities, but his scanners showed a disturbing truth. Thousands of alien signals had gone dark. Entire fleets had vanished. Report, he demanded. His officer Tivar spoke carefully. Ground units destroyed. Communication with the Dominion fleet has been lost. We are alone, Commander. Vaughn's jaw tightened. That is impossible. The Dominion never falls silent. But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. His empire, the mighty Zeltor Dominion, had never faced an enemy like this. Down on Earth, in an underground control center, General Reed studied holographic maps glowing in the dim light. Red enemy markers were disappearing one by one. Project Ghost has done its job, he said. Now it's time for Phase 3. Technicians worked quickly. On the screens, strange symbols appeared. Alien code, lines of blue light forming across the maps. One engineer smiled. Sir, we've cracked their system, Reed nodded. Then let's show them how it feels to lose control. Humanity had done the impossible. They had hacked into the Zeltor's command network. Their fleet, their weapons, their very technology. What once made the aliens gods now belonged to the humans. Above the Pacific, the alien flagship Eternal Dominion trembled as systems flickered. Commander, cried Tivar, our fleet, it's firing on us. On the screens, alien cruisers turned their weapons toward each other. Beams of plasma tore through the black sky as ships exploded one by one. Deactivate their link, Vaughn shouted. We can't. The system won't respond. Vaughn watched in disbelief as his empire's own technology betrayed him. Across orbit, hundreds of alien ships fired blindly, confused and out of control. On the ground, Maya and her ghost squad watched the explosions light up the night. They're fighting themselves, said one soldier. Maya smiled slightly. No, they're fighting us. And they don't even know it. She pressed a button on her wrist display. All units, execute Operation Mirror. Dozens of human-controlled drones rose from the ruins, carrying alien plasma weapons. The Ghost Army was no longer hiding. They were striking back. In cities across the world, alien dropships fell from the sky, burning as they crashed into the sea. For the first time, humanity had control of the heavens. Inside his failing ship, Commander Vaughn finally understood what fear truly meant. His empire had believed that strength came from technology, from control, order, and obedience. But humans had shown him something different. Chaos that could not be calculated, courage that could not be programmed. They've turned our strength into their weapon, whispered Tavar. No, Vaughn replied. They've turned their weakness into strength. The ship shook violently as explosions tore through the hull. Commander, Tavar cried, we must retreat. Vaughn hesitated. Retreat was dishonor. But death now served no purpose. Order the withdrawal. All remaining ships, fall back beyond orbit. On Earth, cheers echoed through bunkers and ruins alike. For the first time, people looked at the sky and saw hope. General Reed stood before the control room window, watching the alien fleet retreat. They thought they could end us, he said quietly. But they only made us stronger. An officer beside him smiled. Sir, incoming message. It's from them. The room fell silent. The alien transmission played. Commander Vaughn's voice calm but heavy. Humans, we withdraw, but this is not surrender. The Dominion will return. Reed leaned forward and replied, Then remember this. The next time you come, we'll be waiting. The message ended. High above the planet, Vaughn's remaining ships limped through space. Engines failing, their once perfect formations broken. He watched Earth fade into the distance, a small burning world that had defied an empire. Tavar turned to him. Commander, what will you report to the High Council? Vaughn's voice was quiet. The truth? That we faced a species who does not understand fear. Because they are fear. He looked out the window one last time. Tell them the Dominion has met humanity. Weeks passed. The smoke began to clear. Cities slowly came back to life. People rebuilt homes, power grids, and hope. The war was far from over, but humanity had survived what no one thought possible. In a secret hangar somewhere in the Arctic, engineers gathered around a massive, half-repaired alien ship. Its surface still glowed faintly with Zeltor markings. Maya walked in, helmet under her arm. Can we fly it? She asked. The chief engineer grinned. Not yet, but soon. Maya touched the metal hull and whispered, Then the stars will finally hear from us. Far across space, the Zeltor High Council received Commander Vaughn's report. The great hall fell silent. None had ever heard such words from one of their own. One counselor finally spoke, voice shaking. You say, they made you afraid. Vaughn looked up. Yes, because they are not like us. When we destroy, they rebuild. When we kill, they multiply. They fight not for empire, not for power. They fight because it's what they are. The counselors stared in disbelief. Then perhaps, Vaughn said softly, the Dominion has finally met its match. On Earth, the stars were brighter than ever. The war was not over, but for the first time, humanity was not just defending, they were preparing to rise, and somewhere in orbit, a hidden signal pulsed from the captured alien ship, repeating one line again and again. Phase 2 has begun. Months had passed since the alien retreat. The world was still scarred, cities in ruins, oceans black with ash, but the fires of resistance had not gone out. Humanity was rebuilding. And this time they weren't rebuilding for peace. They were preparing for war. In an underground hangar beneath the Arctic ice, a massive ship stood surrounded by bright lights and human engineers. The vessel had once belonged to the Zeltor Dominion. Now it was under new command. General Reed stood on the observation deck, hands behind his back. How long until launch? He asked. The engineer smiled. 3 days, sir. The ship is fully operational. We've renamed her. The Horizon. Reed nodded. Fitting. Because after this there'll be no horizon left for them to hide behind. Maya walked through the ship's corridors, now filled with human tech, human voices, and human purpose. She touched the cold alien walls that once carried death and destruction to Earth. Now they would carry vengeance. Her second-in-command, Sergeant Leo, The same boy who once fired a single rocket in London walked beside her. Hard to believe, huh? We're going to the stars, Maya smiled faintly. Not to explore. To remind them what they started. In orbit, smaller captured alien ships were already launching. The first human space fleet, a mix of human engineering and stolen alien design, spread its wings across the void. Each ship bore the same message painted on its hull: "We remember." Their mission was simple: find the retreating Zeltor, follow them home and make the Dominion understand the cost of war. Far away, deep in the void, Commander Vaughn's crippled fleet drifted in silence. Supplies were running low. Morale was broken. Tavar stood beside him, whispering, "Our sensors show movement, Commander." "Small signals." Approaching fast, Vaughn frowned. "Reinforcements?" Before Tavar could answer, alarms blared across the bridge. On the screen appeared dozens of ships. Not Zeltor, not any known species, but something terrifyingly familiar. Human ships. "No," Vaughn muttered. "Impossible. They can't travel this far." But they had. Humanity had reached space. The first battle beyond Earth began near the shattered moon of Vega Prime. The Zeltor fleet formed tight defensive lines, but the humans didn't attack directly. They moved like ghosts, silent, unpredictable. Using stolen cloaking fields, human ships disappeared from sensors and struck from the shadows. They targeted engines, power cores, communication hubs. Each attack was precise, ruthless, cold. Inside one of the human ships, Maya stood on the command bridge. "Fire and fade," she ordered. No mercy. Missiles shot from the darkness, hitting a Zeltor cruiser dead center. The explosion lit up space like a second sun. Tavar shouted, "Commander, we're losing ships. We can't track them." Vaughn gritted his teeth. "They've become us." But worse. As the battle spread across the system, rumors began to travel faster than light. Across alien worlds, the same story echoed: the humans are coming. They fight without warning. They are not conquerors, they are hunters. On one occupied planet, alien soldiers woke to find their command center destroyed overnight. No sound, no trace. Only a single message carved into the wall: "We are here." Fear spread faster than war. Back on Earth, General Reed watched the transmission feeds, listening to reports from the stars. Every victory came with loss, but every loss only made humanity fight harder. A young officer entered. "Sir, the Dominion Council has sent a message. They want peace." Reed didn't look up. "No, they want time. We'll give them something else instead. Memory." He turned to the window, staring into the cold blackness above. "They thought we were weak. They thought they could erase us. Now the galaxy will remember our name." Meanwhile, on his flagship, Commander Vaughn sent a final report to the Dominion High Council. His voice was low and shaken. "To the Council. We have failed. The humans have learned faster than any race we have ever faced. They have taken our ships, our weapons, our tactics. They fight with rage, but also with purpose." He paused. "Do not seek revenge. You cannot win. If you provoke them again, they will come. Not as soldiers, but as storms." Vaughn turned off the transmission and closed his eyes. He knew his empire was finished. Back on the horizon, Maya looked out at the stars. The war had changed her, changed everyone. Humanity had paid with blood, but they had earned something no one could take away again: fear. Leo approached. "Command says we've tracked the Dominion's home system." Maya took a deep breath. "Then let's finish what they started." She pressed the comm button. "All ships set course for Zeltor Prime." The stars shifted. Engines roared. The human fleet turned toward the enemy's homeworld, and in that moment, every alien world that once cheered the Dominion's conquests fell silent. Because they all knew what was coming. Fear had changed sides. Far away, alien traders whispered stories in dark spaceports. The humans don't conquer planets. They burn fear into history. They don't ask for surrender. They only leave warnings. One traveler asked for what warning. The old alien leaned forward, eyes wide. A single sentence, written in fire across the stars. He whispered the words like a prayer. They thought they knew war. Then humanity showed them true fear. The stars were quiet. For the first time in generations, humanity looked at space not with fear but with purpose. The war against the Zeltor Dominion had changed everything. Cities had burned. Millions had fallen, but humanity had survived. Not just survived, they had risen. In orbit above Earth, the human fleet assembled. Ships of all sizes, some built from alien technology, some from Earth's own ingenuity, floated like a shining armada. Their weapons hummed quietly, waiting for the orders that would echo across the stars. General Reed stood on the bridge of the horizon, his hands resting on the railing. Beside him, Maya and Leo watched as distant worlds passed on the screens. "We've come a long way," Maya said softly. "We've come farther than any of them imagined," Reed replied. Across the galaxy, the Zeltor Dominion was in chaos. Their fleets were shattered. Their planets trembled. Commanders whispered in fear, trying to piece together what they had learned, that the humans they had tried to conquer were something beyond their calculations. Varn, the once proud commander, drifted in his remaining ship, powerless. He had seen the humans fight without fear, without surrender and without rules. "They are not like us," he admitted to Tavar. "No," Tavar whispered. "They are everything we feared." On a captured alien station, human engineers worked tirelessly. They repaired ships, built weapons and upgraded systems, turning every alien advantage into humanity's own. "We're stronger now than we ever were," said one young engineer. "We can fight anywhere," Reed nodded. "We don't fight just for survival anymore. We fight so no one will ever threaten us again." The first target was the Zeltor homeworld. The fleet approached silently, cloaked in darkness. Their weapons glowed faintly under the starlight. Humanity did not attack blindly. They calculated. They struck with precision. Alien fleets tried to intercept, but every strike, every trap, every defense had been anticipated. For every Zeltor cruiser, a human ship fell upon it unseen, striking at its engines and command cores. By the time the sun rose on the alien world, their entire orbital defense had been neutralized. On the planet below, the Dominion's leaders scrambled. Panic spread through cities and palaces. Citizens watched the sky as human ships descended like silent meteors. No mercy, no negotiation, only the weight of inevitability. In a command center deep underground, Varn spoke into a communication device. "To all survivors, leave this world. Humanity is not your enemy. They are your reckoning." The message reached distant fleets and colonies. Across the stars, whispers spread. Humans do not conquer for glory. They conquer for survival. Can't they fight like nothing else in the galaxy? Back on Earth, people watched live transmissions of the battle from their homes, their shelters, and their ruined streets. They saw ships fall, alien armies crumble, and the humans rise. Every eye was wide, every heart pounding. Maya stood on the bridge of the horizon, looking at the surface of the alien world. "We don't fight for revenge," she said. "We fight so that no one forgets what it means to face humanity." Leo nodded. "They'll remember," and they would. The final signal came. From orbit, the humans sent a message to the stars. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a challenge. It was a declaration. We are humanity. We remember, and we will never be conquered. Across alien systems, every species that had ever doubted humanity paused. Ships halted. Eyes watched. Scholars and leaders whispered, "The humans, they are something else." And in that silence, the universe understood. On the alien homeworld, the remaining Zeltor survivors fled, broken and defeated. They had underestimated humans, a species who fought not just to survive but to endure, to adapt and to inspire fear in those who thought they were gods. Commander Varn looked at the sky one last time. "This is the beginning," he murmured. "And we have met it too late." Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Cities were rebuilt, families reunited. But humanity carried a new strength, a silent warning to the stars. They were united, relentless, and unforgettable. In a small school in Tokyo, a child looked through a telescope at the stars and whispered, "They fought for us, and they never gave up." And somewhere, deep in space, distant planets heard it too. Humanity's name would no longer be whispered in fear or doubt. It would be remembered in every corner of the galaxy. They thought they knew war. Then humanity showed them true fear. The stars burned brighter that night, as if echoing the power of a species that refused to be conquered. Humanity had risen, and the galaxy would never forget.